Today on Bench Briefs, we're looking at a landmark Supreme Court of Canada case that tackles the delicate balance between protecting an accused person's rights and ensuring a fair trial in sexual assault cases. On this episode, we dive into R v. Darrach, a 2000 decision that shaped how courts handle evidence about prior sexual history. So, what happened in this case? Darrach was charged with sexual assault. During the trial, the complainant introduced evidence about Darrach's prior sexual conduct. In response, a provision in the criminal code required Darrach to testify about his own sexual history if the complainant brought up such information. This raised a critical question. Could the court compel an accused person to speak about their past sexual behavior, even if doing so might violate their right to silence or protection against self-incrimination under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms? Before we get into the legal issues, let's break down the facts a bit more. Sexual assault trials often involve sensitive and complex evidence. Sometimes the complainant may introduce details about the accused's sexual past, perhaps to challenge their credibility or to provide context. The criminal code had a rule designed to prevent fishing expeditions or unfair surprises. If the complainant brought up the accused's sexual history, the accused had to respond by testifying about it. This meant the accused couldn't just stay silent. They had to take the stand and answer questions about their past. Darrach challenged this rule. He argued that being forced to testify about his prior sexual history infringed on his charter rights, particularly the right to silence and protection against self-incrimination. The right to silence means an accused person doesn't have to say anything that might incriminate themselves, and this is a fundamental part of our criminal justice system. Compelling Darrach to testify about his past sexual conduct could force him to provide evidence that might be used against him, which raised serious constitutional concerns. The Supreme Court of Canada had to decide two main issues. First, whether the criminal code provision that compelled the accused to testify about their prior sexual history violated the charter rights to silence and protection against self-incrimination. And second, if it did violate those rights, whether such a violation could be justified under Section 1 of the Charter, which allows certain rights to be limited if the limits are reasonable and demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. In a unanimous decision, the court ruled that the provision was unconstitutional. The justices agreed that forcing an accused to testify about their prior sexual history was a serious infringement on their charter rights. The right to silence and protection against self-incrimination are cornerstones of our justice system, designed to protect individuals from being compelled to provide evidence that could be used to convict them. The court found that this rule put unfair pressure on the accused to waive those rights and testify, which could undermine the fairness of the trial. Moreover, the court considered whether this infringement could be justified under Section 1 of the Charter. The government argued that the provision was necessary to ensure a fair trial and to prevent the complainant from being unfairly discredited by the accused's silence. However, the court found that the provision was not a minimal impairment of rights, and that there were other, less intrusive ways to balance the interests of both parties without forcing the accused to testify about their sexual history. Why does this case matter? R v. Darrach is a crucial decision because it protects the fundamental rights of accused persons in sexual assault trials. It affirms that an accused cannot be compelled to waive their right to silence simply because the complainant introduces evidence about their sexual past. This helps maintain the integrity of the justice system by ensuring that accused individuals are not forced into self-incrimination, while still allowing courts to fairly assess evidence. The case also highlights the ongoing challenge courts face in sexual assault cases: how to respect the dignity and privacy of both complainants and accused, while ensuring justice is done. It reminds us that constitutional rights aren't just abstract ideas. They have real practical implications in how trials are conducted and how fairness is maintained. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Bench Briefs. Join us next time as we explore another important Canadian legal decision that impacts the way justice works. Until then, take care.